All right, let's do really quick Python. Let's talk about Python length or the function of length. Now, the length function in Python is not about how long or how short something is. It is basically, it returns the value of the number of items inside an object. Now, we use it a lot in seeing how many characters are in a string or how many elements are in a list. We'll talk about lists later on. We're only going to focus on the length of a string today. And again, what we are returning, or what the length function does, it returns the number of items or number of elements in a object. Now, on the screen, I'm in my Python interpreter, and if I just say len, click on it, len, the literal Nick, it returns a value of 4. Now, let's create a variable called first name, and let's assign it Nick, and let's find out the length of that string, because we don't want to be counting things. The length of a string, the number of items in a string object, will play an important part in a lot of the Python coding that we may do, whether it be for the class or for actual real world functions. So here, if I say len fname, it returns the value of 4. Let me put my last name in there. I say lname is equal to di space tirro. Now notice I put a space in there because a space is a character. So if I do a length, or find me the number of items in the object or variable lname, it returns 8. And I can take that integer value, because we're counting, and we can put that into a variable. So I can say, I'll create a variable, say how many, all right, is going to be equal to the length of lname, right? And if I print how many, it shows as 8. So what if I need to compare the size of two strings, the number of elements in two strings? Is my first name longer than my last name? Right? Is last name longer than first name? So you might come across situations where they say, pull out all the words that are greater than 8 characters. Maybe you're doing testing for passwords or something like that. Passwords have to be greater than 8 characters. Well, if you run it through a length and the length of the password is less than 8 characters, guess what? You kick that out. So we can use that in decision making. We will definitely use it in looping, and we'll definitely use it in list and things like that. Now, before we go any further, we need to understand something. I created this little Excel spreadsheet, and I pretended to create 2 variables. Okay, variable 1 is fname, variable 2 is lname. And I can see that up here, I have my first name, my last name, and here's that blank character. The length of fname is 4. The length of last name, including the space, is 8. Now, later on, and we'll have another video of more importance, will be what are called indices. Right? Can we reference specific locations inside inside those strings? Yes, we can. Excuse me. So here's where people get confused. In my first name, it has 4 total elements, right? But the indices of it is the first element is at 0, the second one is at 1, third is at 2, etc., etc., etc. That will often drive people crazy. So I figured I'm just going to introduce it. We start counting with 0. So the first element is at 0, first element at 0, and we can return those values. That's for another. That's for another video. So length is not a measurement of how long or how short. Length provides a function that returns the number of items in an object. We're looking at strings right now. Later on, we'll look at different objects. So you learn something. Let's go apply it. Let's have fun with it. Thank you.